There's nothing that beats settling into a cozy game that's full of story, adventure, and cuteness. But what about the times where you want something a little less story-driven and more casual? Puzzle games are great for when you don't have a ton of time or lack the focus that's necessary for a text-heavy title. And lucky for us, there are a ton of cute and cozy puzzle games to choose from. Hey everyone, I'm Amy, and today I'm delving into some puzzle games that I had a blast playing. Before we get going, make sure to like this video and subscribe if you want more cozy gaming content. Now, let's check out some chill, cozy puzzle games that I think are worth your time. The Shape of Things. If you're looking for a calming puzzle game that doesn't take too much brain power, look no further than The Shape of Things. Inspired by the Rubik's Cube, The Shape of Things takes everyday objects and scrambles them all within gorgeously designed backdrops, like a bountiful backyard garden and vibrant underwater scene, to name just a couple of settings. All that's required of you is to twist and turn these items back to their natural state. There are a ton of levels and scenes to unlock too, all through a gachapon vending machine. It really brings me back to the days when Kmart still existed and I begged my mom for quarters to get some stickers or little toys that I'd completely forget about in a day. While this is definitely a put on a podcast and play type of game, I really recommend playing The Shape of Things with the soundtrack for a complete experience, at least for your first playthrough. The soothing piano music, click of the gachapon machine releasing the plastic pod, and the sound effects from snapping each object into place are incredibly satisfying. The Shape of Things is available on Steam for Windows and Nintendo Switch. Birth. I'm a horror movie fan and generally enjoy movies, games, and books with darker themes, which is why I naturally gravitated toward Birth, a morbid and existential but somehow really cute puzzle game. Birth is a game about living alone, and your character is sick of being lonely. So they do what anyone would: construct a person out of found body parts. Don't worry, stick with me on this one. To find these body parts, you must wander around your city, exploring coffee shops, museums, and other locations, and you might have to search for them in unconventional ways. Trust me, you'll want to click on anything that you think might be hiding the object you're looking for. Birth is also beautifully hand-drawn and unlike any art style I've seen before. You can really tell that the developer put a ton of love and care into it. I also need to mention the soundtrack, which is incredibly soothing and pleasant to listen to. You might want to wait for your second playthrough of Birth to catch up on your favorite podcast so you don't miss the full experience. If you enjoy Birth, you should also check out the developer's two other games that might pique your interest: Whimsy, which is free, and Landlord of the Woods, which is only 99 cents. Birth is available on Steam for Windows and Mac OS, as well as Xbox One. Unpacking. If you're a regular of my channel, you won't be surprised to find Unpacking on this list. Not only is it one of my favorite games of all time, it's also a relaxing puzzle game that's perfect to play when you just want to unwind. Described as a Zen puzzle game about unpacking a life, it follows a character during different stages of her life, from childhood to middle adulthood. Your task is simple: unpack boxes and store the items in the correct spot. For example, t-shirts can be folded or hung in the closet, and books are placed on a bookshelf. While most of the placement is pretty straightforward, some items have very specific spots, and you cannot progress to the next level unless they're generally in the right spot. This isn't as frustrating as it sounds. The game is pretty intuitive. Just think about where you'd place a particular item in your own home. As a bonus, Unpacking also has a not-so-obvious storyline told through items and rooms. It gives you a glimpse into the character's important milestones and the tougher times in her life. It's truly a beautiful game that gives you so much more than you'd expect. Unpacking is available on Steam for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, as well as all major consoles. Plus, you can play it on your Apple device and any device that has the Google Play Store. Dorfromantik. Looking for a puzzle game that's a good balance of simple and strategic? Village Landscaper Dorfromantik is a beautifully designed strategic puzzler where you create an ever-growing village landscape by placing tiles. Dorfromantik is the definition of Zen. It's low stress and features a lovely piano-led soundtrack, along with natural soundscapes like an ocean breeze and chirping birds in the distance. The game is simple. Spin your tile pieces to match a corresponding landscape, like a field to a forest or a river to a lake. Placing tiles helps you gain points, and your ultimate goal is to get as many points as possible. Or not. The points aren't a driving force for me. I simply enjoy the relaxing gameplay experience. It's perfect for unwinding if you've had a particularly stressful day. There are also 6 different game modes to play through. Classic mode is presumably how Dorfromantik was meant to be played, but you can also experiment with creative mode, in which you have an infinite supply of tiles. Plus, you can discard tiles that simply aren't working with your landscape. If you want to check out Dorfromantik for yourself, it's available on Steam for Windows and Nintendo Switch. A Building Full of Cats series. I've always loved hidden object games, and if you're anything like me, you're in luck. Steam has a ton of cheap and free options to choose from. My personal favorite is the Building Full of Cats series. In A Building Full of Cats, you explore different rooms and try to find the cats that are hidden throughout every nook and cranny. The cats are drawn into the scenery, which gives you a little bit of a challenge. They're not always so obvious. Be sure to check in cabinets, between couch cushions, and other inconspicuous spots. The series started with A Building Full of Cats, and since then, the developers have released several other games, including A Castle Full of Cats, An Arcade Full of Cats, and A Tower Full of Cats. There are also a couple of other Cats games in the works that are set to release toward the end of 2024, which you know I'll devour on release day. You can play the entire series for Steam on Windows and Linux, as well as Nintendo Switch. Toem. Finally, I have yet another cute hidden object game for you. Toem. This is a hand-drawn puzzle game that takes you on a photographic adventure to different towns where you find specific objects and take pictures of them. You aren't left to your own devices in Toem. The objects you photograph are requested by the quirky townsfolk and villagers to help them solve their strange issues. Once you complete the task, you'll receive a stamp to collect. You aren't left to your own devices in Toem. The objects you photograph are requested by the quirky townsfolk and villagers to help them solve their strange issues. Once you complete the task, you'll receive a stamp to collect. Collecting a specific number of stamps allows you to progress to the next town so you can assist a whole new group of weird townies. Toem offers just the right amount of challenge without becoming frustrating. The game is entirely in black and white, so objects don't exactly stand out. And of course, like most cozy games, Toem has a chill soundtrack that's just a delight to listen to. Toem is available on Steam for Windows, macOS, and Linux, as well as all major consoles. Have you played any of these cozy puzzle games? Let me know in the comments. And I'm always looking for recommendations, so feel free to suggest some puzzle games you've recently enjoyed. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.